thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Welcome to our new online conference. We're excited for the opportunities this has presented us, certainly challenges as well, but opportunities for even more to participate. So I hope you found that the case if you haven't been able to come in person in the past. My name's Eileen Merberg. I am Executive Director of Alpha Lambda Delta. I'm going to have the rest of the presenters, which is Sharon and Trish, introduce themselves. If everyone else could turn cameras off and mute yourselves, and then we're going to do some opportunities to meet each other in just a minute. So Sharon, how about you?
So hello, Sharon Emerson Stonnell. I'm from Longwood University in Virginia, and I am honored to serve as the president this year. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Trish Maxwell, Director of Communication for the National Office.
Great. Okay, and you know what? I think I see Christine Cohn here. She is not in the office. There she is. So I'm going to have Christine introduce herself.
Hello, good morning. I am Christine Cohn. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I can.
Christine Cohn, I'm with the National Office. I'm the bookkeeper and executive assistant. So if you need anything done, it usually ends up going through me. Great.
Thanks, Christine. So welcome again. Thank you so much for coming. We know that it's an effort. It's a weekend. It's Saturday. It's beautiful in upstate New York. I don't know how the weather is where you are, but we really appreciate that you've come to join us today. You are very welcome. I wanted to mention a little bit about the schedule. So we've got quite a few students signed up for the conference. And you'll see if you saw the schedule of sessions that they're very much really open to operating effective ALD chapters. So you're very welcome to attend all of them. So this morning is really what we call the advisor track. We'll do a broader conference welcome later after the advisor track at 1 o'clock. And then we'll have sessions, which you, again, are very welcome to come to. So they're really meant for advisors and chapter officers. So I wanted to mention that you're certainly welcome to come in and out of those as well. You know, so normally, because for those of you who've been to our conferences in person, you'll know that we do, that advisors come and go out of all the other sessions as well. So, and again, for those just joining, we hope that you can come to our conferences in person. I think we're seeing some opportunities here with an online conference. We do host an in-person conference. Next year, it's always in October. We're a little early with the online conference, which I think is good, but we're the third weekend usually in October. And next year, it will be in Washington, D.C., and the year after that, Tampa, Florida. So those are the two cities. But we're now hoping we can do some more things online throughout the year. So again, welcome, and I'm going to turn over to Sharon for a minute.
So a second welcome to everybody. I'm excited it's wonderful seeing all these wonderful names. I'm looking forward to seeing some faces to go with it in a little bit. So just wanted to let you know that Trish introduced herself earlier. For those of you who aren't familiar with her, she's a little camera shy, but she's really good in the chat. So if at any point, if you have a question or something and you don't feel comfortable asking it outright during this advisor session, just feel free to put it in the chat. And the wonderful thing is that since we're recording the session, the chat is also being recorded. So if we don't get a chance to answer every single question that comes up, or something comes up at the very end that we don't have time to get to, since it's recorded, we can go back and address any of those questions. So later on after this conference, anything we don't get to at the advisor session, then it'll be posted later on, and you can, when Eileen announces the notes, you'll know exactly where to go.
Great. Okay. So I am going to attempt, for anyone who has used Zoom before, I do not have a lot of experience with breakout rooms, but we're going to try a little breakout room. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to set it up in a minute for all of you all to go off into breakout rooms. There's a lot of us here on the call today, so I don't want to take the full half hour introducing ourselves because it'll take the whole time. So I'm going to try and do breakout rooms, and what I'd like you to do is introduce yourselves. We'll see how this goes. Although we could probably, I want you to introduce yourselves, what institution you're at, how long you've worked with Alpha Lambda Delta, and what do you do at your campus when you're not working with Alpha Lambda Delta. So I'm going to try, and we're going to give you just a few minutes. I think I'm going to try for, I think it should be about 5 per room or so. So we'll see if this works. Watch for messaging in the breakout rooms for when you should come back to the big group. I'll give you like a minute warning. Again, in the chat, you'll see introduce yourselves, say hello, what you do on your campus, and then we'll come back. We wanted to spend the rest of the time, we've got about 15 minutes left. And so the session is primarily for sort of all things ALD advising. And some of you are new advisors, some of you have been advisors for 30+ years. So it's hard to really target what everyone needs. So I thought I would just talk a little bit about some things where some resources are for you. Sharon's going to talk a little bit about our scholarships because that's always a point of interest. And then we will see if there's any questions we can answer. So essentially, and if everyone could mute themselves, that would be great while we are screen sharing. So I'm going to be using our website a lot throughout the day today and tomorrow, just because we have so much there and so many resources. And I think sometimes maybe some things are hard to find because there's so much here, but certainly use our website as a major resource for you in your role, whether you're, and there are some new things. So even if you've been advising for a long time, there's some new things up here. And I'm not sure Trish knows when we sort of redesigned it. So maybe since the last conference, there's a little bit of redesign and some new features on our site, including this banner. So again, I'm just going to briefly point out a few key advisor pages. I'm not going to walk through them or read them to you by any means, but let me just at least point them out as major resources for advisors. So the first one is, this is our main page, and you can see that there's one just for chapters that could be officers and advisors in particular. There's a whole advisor resources page, but just know that if you just click right on chapters, you'll get a lot of information about resources and things that we're offering membership, but resources for you and your role. And one of those is a handbook. I've talked a lot about this. We revamped it a number of years ago, and if we can do it again, if there are more things or different things that would help you here, please let us know. It might be due for a refresh anyway. But there's a lot here. Really, this is almost one of the main pages for best practices for operating and advising a chapter. It's just chock full of information about engaging, well, first of all, inviting students to join. How do you invite eligible students to join? What tools do we use for that? How do I manage the membership? And what are the best ways to recruit members or to invite eligible members? We're going to talk about some of those things specifically at later sessions. How do I request the names from the registrar? What about when the emails we send end up in their spam folder? Now that I've invited students to join, now what do I do with them? What do they do? What's their role on campus? What sorts of activities should they be doing? There's a section on that. There's money involved. You're collecting fees from students that you're keeping on campus. What do we do? What are we supposed to do with those funds? Officer transition, there's a session just specifically on that later today. And a couple other things about our resources. My Zoom hides that. The other thing I wanted to point out is our resources library. So a lot of you, and we add things to this. So even again, if you're returning advisor or been advisor for a long time, we do add a number of things to this page as well. The script for us, induction ceremony, brochures, study guides, you name it, we have it available online for you. The other thing I wanted to draw attention to is, especially now, I think because of the pandemic, we're not getting as many officer updates from advisors. So we really rely on you to tell us who your new student leadership is in the chapter. For many chapters, those who were ending their terms in spring of 2020 are continuing at least through the fall because of the pandemic. And that's great. That's fine. That adds a lot of consistency and helps with the transition from a really unusual year. So if you do have new officers, there is a form we ask you to fill out so that we can start communicating with them and let them know about opportunities just for them. Okay, this is a good time to turn it over to Sharon to talk about our scholarships.
Okay, so let me get everything going. Okay. Sorry about that. I am not as nimble as Eileen is with Zoom. We have 3 scholarships available for students. The 2 I'm going to concentrate on are the one that your students are probably going to be the most interested in, which is the TRO and the STEMLR. So everybody who was inducted this year, and when I say this year, between January 1st and December 31st of 2020 is eligible for the TRO. Anybody studying abroad from May 1st to May 31st, May 1st of 2021 to May 31st of 2022 is eligible for the STEMLR. So while the TRO is only for the people who were inducted this year, the STEMLR is for everybody. As long as you join ALD by March 1st, when the applications are due, you're eligible for a STEMLR. So those are big selling points, I think, when you're trying to recruit students. The one thing I do want to mention specifically about those, you've got the funds there, and there really is a lot of money there that we give out. But the big thing for that is if you haven't done TRO or STEMLR before, the number of people who can apply from your school really does depend on how large your Alpha Lambda Delta induction group is. So if you inducted this year 150, less than 150 students, you only get to send 1 applicant. If you do under 300, you get to send 2 applicants. And if you do more than that, you get to send 3 applicants. So some schools actually go through and they do all that themselves. They have the students apply specifically to their school, and then they forward the information on to the national office. Some people actually have students just go through and apply directly to the national office. And then Trish keeps track of it and then sends those people on to you so you can decide who you actually want to choose to represent your school. So if you haven't done this before, it might be a good idea to get in touch with Trish because she has some wonderful videos and so on. She's also wonderful in terms of advice. She's never steered me wrong yet. And she saved my bacon. I can't tell you how many times. So as you go through and look at this, if you're not quite sure how to do this, she's got some wonderful advice and some videos that you can go through and look at. But I strongly recommend that before this stuff starts, because we start taking applications in March of 2021. So probably sometime this semester before you go home for Christmas, you probably want to work with Trish to figure out how you're going to do the STEMLR and the TRO in terms of the applications for your school. And so now she just told you that we have brand new applications that are coming out. They're coming out in November. And there will be a special session on these 3 different scholarships at 2 o'clock today. So there'll be a lot of details. As a matter of fact, there'll be some insider trading information here because we sort of changed the point allotment as well as some of the questions for these. So if you want the inside scoop before it comes out in November, that's a great place to find that information.
Okay. Great. And Trish, there was one other video. So as you can see in chat, Trisha's posting a bunch of links in particular. Oh, I'm sorry, you did both videos, sorry. There's 2 videos there. We did a webinar on the application process for advisors last year, so you could watch that. It's a 30-minute webinar. And then also Trish did a nice less than 2-minute video on how to handle the scholarship process, how it all works. In 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, learn how it all works from that video as well. Okay. And then again, feel free to post questions if there's any questions. We're going to open it up in just a minute. We've got a few minutes left, and I wanted to just mention one other thing. I think I'm not going to pull that up on the screen. Trish, if you could just put all those social media accounts. So the next thing I wanted to mention in our few minutes left is that we do have a number of social media accounts, of course, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. And I'm just really encouraging, I'm going to talk to the students about this too later today, just really encourage you all to be following us and engaging with us on social media. And I think that's really important because it just shows, I think, a prospective student. So if a student gets invited to join Alpha Lambda Delta, you know that the first thing they're going to do is go look us up. Like, who, they never heard of us, who are we? They're going to Google us, they're going to look us up, and they're going to end up on Instagram probably, or any of the other social media accounts. And so showing that we don't have like 3 followers and, you know, no comments, no engagement is not a great sign. So the more followers we have, the more likes on our posts. I just think that's an important piece to our brand and to students' interpretation of our legitimacy and whatnot. So that would be great if you could follow those links. We do have a question. What happened to the STEMler winners? Yes. Okay. So, yep. Thank you, Edna, for that question. So we, of course, back to our scholarships, for our STEMler scholarship, we certainly had a lot of challenges this year with, well, the students had a lot of challenges with their trips being canceled. So we extended the scholarship fund allocation through the summer of 2021, which we normally do not do. It covers the first summer, the fall, and the spring. So we're making an exception and extending it. There will probably be students whose trips, you know, there are students who received the scholarship whose trips were canceled outright. And so that's of course an unfortunate piece of the year. So, okay, we just have a few minutes left, and if y'all wanted to pull your, put your cameras on and unmute if you want, and maybe put it out there for questions or topics you'd like us to chat about. Is there anything? Again, we're getting into some specific things in a minute with the next few sessions, but that's our quick overview of all we offer. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Carlia. Hi, Risa. Oh, I see everybody. Are there any questions? Anything more, Sharon and Trish, that we should cover?
Hey, Eileen, it's Anthony.
Yeah.
I have one question, and I'm happy to connect with anybody offline about this throughout the weekend, but I'd be open to any discussion of what people may or may not be considering doing to local dues for this year. Again, we're all in different situations. I know we're struggling to be able to do in-person programming, and so we're just not going to need as much, you know, local money. So again, happy to connect offline if somebody rather do that. But yeah, just kind of open question what y'all's plans were.
I think that's a great question in terms of, yeah, because there's so much that you're not having pizza at meetings and taking trips places and that sort of thing. So, and we always say, you know, try and keep that local fee. Our national fee is so low as it is, really the lowest of any honor society. And so if you could keep your local fee affordable, that's great. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
One of the things we did with the people who joined this past year, because we knew we weren't going to have these meetings, is we actually went out and bought a lot of supplies for college. So they all have ALD face masks and all that kind of stuff to try to help them prepare for life on campus today.
Quick things here. Sue, are there virtual meeting times where advisors can join in and just talk? Yes, so I think if this is what you mean, I think we are going to be adding, we were just talking earlier about how this opens up so many opportunities and so many, everybody's much more used to Zoom now. It's sort of like the thing that I don't have any phone calls anymore. I used to schedule with advisors to have phone calls and nobody ever chooses a phone call. They always choose the Zoom video, which I love. So we're going to definitely offer targeted topics like this. And the local fee could be a great one, Anthony. I think if we just pick some day and time and anyone who wants to call into Zoom and we chat about the local fee or any other topic, I think that would be great. Sue, is that sort of what you were getting at? Yeah, great. And Carlia, can you say a little bit more of what you mean about scholarship? So use that money, use your local funds to give a scholarship out?
I would just a thought using the, local funds that you're getting because you can't do any programming on campus. There's a lot of students that are in need too right now during COVID. So I don't know if even looking at that money, either like Sharon said, to buy supplies for your chapter to hand out to help raise visibility, but also, could use it for scholarships or funds for students in need.
Right. Good. Okay. There was one other thing I was going to mention. I know I'm already 2 minutes over, but if you're all here for the advisor sessions, then I can just take, I will talk about online programming and ceremonies in just a second, because that is the next topic. But one other thing, and this is more, and you could use your thumbs up or type in chat yes or no or maybe, but I'm curious. I'm not going to do an actual poll, but I do want to ask your opinion on something. So hopefully you've heard of ALD Leads Certified. So it's a new program we launched a couple weeks ago. We've had almost 1,000 students sign up for it. I'm going to celebrate when we get to 1,000. We're at 920 or something. So I think we're going to get to 1,000 pretty soon, which is 999 more than I thought. Like, no, not I just wasn't sure how this would go. So it's been very popular. Students have sent me a lot of positive feedback once they participate in it. So I'm wondering, I'm getting ambitious, and I'm wondering if it'd be a cool thing to do an advisor leadership certificate series, sort of so very specific to advising student organizations in general, advising ALD chapters specifically, but sort of a general student organization advisor type of certificate series, self-paced, but really helpful information. With that, it would take me months to pull it together, but would that be of interest to folks? If you let me know, if I see enough yeses, I will pursue it. Because I think that would be kind of a cool thing to do, and then sort of a permanent resource for effective advising for chapters. Great. Okay. That's it. I'm going to work on it. Sharon, that's my next project. Okay.